What do you need to know to apply for the Innovator Visa or Startup Visa? This is my essential guidance for 2019 on how to apply and what you need to know from Appendix W, which is the relevant section of the rules. So the first point is that you can apply with a co-founder. So you and another entrepreneur can apply. This could be a British entrepreneur, or it could be a foreign or international entrepreneur. So you can co-found your business, and there's no limit on the number of co-founders. However, the number of co-founders does have an impact on what you need to do to qualify for indefinite leave to remain, and that I will come to very shortly. The other point is that you cannot invest into an already trading business. So this is not permitted. If the company's incorporated into which you're investing under the Innovator Visa, then that in itself is not problematic, but it cannot be trading. Now the question for many therefore is, if you're looking to invest into a business that's already running in the UK and co-found it with a British entrepreneur, then what kind of due diligence can you do to determine whether this is a viable investment target? And the answer to that is there are many incorporated UK companies that are highly credible and viable that have not started trading. Through my network on the startup community in London, I'm able to introduce you to companies to give you some investment options, if you like. If you're a international entrepreneur and you're looking to co-found a business and join up with a British co-founder to start an operation in the UK. So these businesses are clearly there's a range of businesses available, but some of them have either qualified for or will soon receive government funding, and therefore have gone through some minimum due diligence checks, or more than minimum due diligence checks. And I think that will instill some confidence. I think if you're looking to invest into an early stage startup or a concept stage startup, if you like, then if you can select a business or co-found a business that has already been verified, either by going through one of the incubators or through actually having received a letter granting them funding, which will be received in due course, then that's a pretty good litmus test of whether the business is likely to be a viable one. Now, under the Tier 1 investor process, you can be a passive investor, so you need to invest 2 million, so the minimum threshold is 2 million up. Under the Innovator Visa, the minimum is only £50,000. But clearly most businesses are going to require, especially if you're investing or co-founding a business with a British entrepreneur, most businesses are looking for more than 50,000. They may be looking for 100,000 or 200,000, which in turn may unlock Series A funding or give rise to an entitlement to government funds or government grants. So the threshold is a bit higher, but it's still much lower than the Tier 1 investor visa. However, under the Innovative Visa process, you must play an active role in the business. Of course, you've got to bring something to the table over and above your money. It might be subject matter expertise, and it might be access to markets. If you do want to contact me, I'd be delighted to assist you. You can drop me a WhatsApp, or you can email me. My details are in the description below. Now let's go to the next stage of my presentation. And this is just the key provisions that I wanted to highlight. So on who can be endorsed. So the Startup and Innovator Visa categories are for people setting up a new business in the UK, which is innovative, viable and scalable, with the ultimate aim that the business has the potential to become a fully integrated and contributing part of the UK economy. So you can applicants can be working on their own as a sole founder or working together as part of an entrepreneurial team. And that's my point. presenting a new business idea. So you've got to have a new business idea. The business may or may not already exist, but should not have already started trading. So although it's got to be a new business idea, I've said in a previous live stream, or I've emphasized this point previously, that it does not have to be unprecedented, and it could be a variation on an existing idea. What's important is that the business is part of the innovation economy. So traditional, say, manufacturing businesses will not usually qualify, or if you have a trading business, import-export business, that sort of business would not usually immediately qualify. But there may be some innovative aspect of your business which could be developed, which would bring your business into the ambit of what's sought under the government policy through these rules. In other words, an innovative, scalable business. And there, many businesses are going through, or have gone through, a digital transformation. In other words, to bring them in to the digital age. I do work with business consultants who help achieve that, and who work with my clients to develop their either their innovative business ideas, or to effectively digitalize their existing business. And the two types of businesses that I've emphasized previously on this channel are a SaaS business, so software as a service business, where you take your existing model but you transform it into a software-based offering, so that it is scalable. And to be frank, if you're not doing that in your business already, then you'll probably have to at some stage out of financial necessity as the economy changes. And of course, it wholly depends on the nature of your business. I'm not suggesting that every business has to become innovative, but most businesses will need to have at least a viable digital plan and technology, and plan for embracing technology. So either you have a tech business, in which case you may well qualify automatically under these rules, or you might have a business that's undergoing or that needs to undergo change to bring it into the innovation economy, or to leverage the innovation economy as part of its strategy. Or you may be purely, an investor, in which case you, if you are looking to come in under these rules, and obviously subject to assessment of any other options you have under, for example, sole representative route, or tier one, or the tier one investor, or tier two general, subject to all of that, you might be looking at starting an innovative business, or joining with a British entrepreneur with a company that already qualifies effectively under the visa rules, either under the startup or innovative visa categories. So those are the sort of three ways that one could approach this. So just going on, you've got to present an idea in any sector. There are no restrictions, for example, relating to property development, as there were under the tier one entrepreneur category. And providing you're satisfied that the idea is sufficiently innovative, viable, and scalable. And then you've got to be, and then you can develop other businesses as well as your main idea. So although you need to work exclusively on the business that's endorsed, you can develop other businesses as well as your main idea. And then it says the categories are not designed for people who are establishing a business which doesn't fulfill those criteria. In other words, it isn't innovative, viable, or scalable, or joining an already trading business, or seeking to invest into an already trading business. So as I say, you can invest into an existing non-trading business, and the way you assess the viability of that is ensuring that it meets a minimum criteria. In other words, I would recommend that it's either been through one of the incubators or accelerators, and ideally it should also qualify for government funding of some kind, just for you to be able to assess its viability before you commit your funds to such a business. The overriding consideration is whether it's going to be a good fit. If you are joining up and co-founding an entity with a British entrepreneur, then you've got to ensure that it's going to be a good match, and you're going to be able to work together over the 3-year period of the visa term under the innovator visa, or if it's under the startup route, over the 5-year period. However, of course, you can, during the period of that, switch up your businesses. You can develop another business, but the new business would then need to be endorsed. So yeah, ideally you'd really want to select a business that you can commit to for either the 3-year period or the 5-year period. So let's just go to the next aspect of the presentation. This is a live stream, so if you do have any questions, you can ask them, and I will answer them at the end. So we'll move on from this page for now. Just bear with me a second, please. Okay, great. So I'm just going to go to the process now. What should happen in week 1 of instructing me? So what I would typically do with a client in week 1 is we would review the business plan, the proposed business plan. Often it's necessary with assistance of an accountant, for example, to modify the business plan. Often I find that the business plans that are produced by clients don't fully reflect the strengths of their businesses and don't fully reflect their plans in the UK. There's also the need to specifically deal with market research for the UK market and to show scalability to national markets, and then under the innovator visa to international markets. So normally there's some work to be done on the business plan with you and, as I say, with my partners. Now the next phase is in week 2. So if we're working together in week 2, what I'd aim to do is have the endorsement. It's to secure the endorsement within that period. Assuming we're working fast and effectively together and full time, then if we were to present to 2 or 3 targeted endorsing bodies, then I would look to get an endorsement within that period. Now the next week would be week 3, and in week 3 we would really be looking to prepare the application. There's a number of things that you can do to just prepare ahead. One of the hold-ups could be, to prevent us progressing as fast as possible. One of the hold-ups could be with your dependents, and your dependents, in other words, dependent family member, such as your wife, will need to get the criminal record certificate from his or her country of residence. Now that can take some time to get. So what I would ordinarily do is just highlight at the beginning of the process that you need to get this. So if we are working together, I'm looking to avoid any hold-ups. If you can request that from your local authorities promptly at the beginning of the process, then it will probably come through by about week 3, and therefore won't cause any hold-ups. Next, we would look to really get a decision if it's possible to expedite the application. It's not possible in all application centres because this is still a relatively new visa route. We'd be looking to get the entry clearance. So this is a vignette which allows you to come to the UK, and once you do so, once you get that, you have 30 days to convert that into a biometric residence permit, which you pick up in the UK. Now, having said that, you do actually have 3 months after you get the endorsement letter to apply, so you can actually control the time frame. More or less, you can control the time frame. The other thing is, we wouldn't necessarily need to apply for the endorsement immediately, and as I say, you wouldn't need to apply. Having got the endorsement letter, you wouldn't necessarily need to make the application, make the visa application immediately. But assuming you want to get on with it, then there's potentially a 4-week time frame. It may well take longer. This is best case, but assuming there's no hold-ups, then optimally this is what I would seek to aim for. So after that, it would be in week 5. that you would pick up, if you, assuming you came straight to the UK, you would pick up your biometric residence permit, and that would either, under the startup visa, that would give you a 2 years of leave in the UK, non-extendable. And under the innovator visa, which you'd have to switch to after a startup visa, but if you got an innovator visa straight away, then that would give you 3 years up to indefinite leave to remain. So there's no extension period necessarily. And with all of my clients, I'd be looking to have a plan in place which allows them to apply for settlement after the 3-year period. So there's, although the innovator visa can be extended indefinitely, one would aim to just get indefinite leave to remain after 3 years. That's the advantage of this route, of the innovator visa route. If you can go straight onto it, then it gives you an accelerated pathway to indefinite leave to remain. And I think that's part of the government's strategy of trying to attract the best and brightest to the UK. The only other immigration routes that achieve this in 3 years are the exceptional talent route, and also the tier 1 investor pathway at 5 million. At 10 million you can do it after 2 years, but all of these are incentivized programs designed by the government to attract the best people to the UK. So if you get the innovator visa, you should look to qualify after 3 years. I'm going to come to how you can do that very shortly. So next thing I just want to look at with you is continuous residence. So let's start with you first of all. I won't deal with family members for now, although I'm going to do that in the next video in this series probably. So do feel free to subscribe if you would like to see that, and click the notification bell so that you're notified when when I release more videos. So year 1. In year 1, you need to be looking ahead at the coming 3 years under the innovator visa. And let's just pause for a moment to have a look at the provisions. So continuous residence, what it says is applicants for settlement on the innovator category must have continuously resided in the UK for at least 3 years immediately prior to the application. So that's your application for indefinite leave to remain. In determining if an applicant meets this requirement for continuous residency, you must be satisfied, that's the decision maker, must be satisfied that the applicant has not had combined absences from the UK in excess of 180 days in any consecutive 12-month period. So that's the key thing, any consecutive 12-month period. Any 12 months you take within this period, you must not have been out for more than 180 days. The plus side of that, though, is that you can be out of the country for about half of the year, effectively. So under the innovative visa category, you've got to be working exclusively on your UK business. So any other business interests will have to be switched onto a passive basis. Your other businesses will have to be managed, and if you have any investments, that wouldn't infringe the rule, but you've got to be working on your business and satisfying the endorsing body of the same. So let's just go back to the diagram. So let me just illustrate this point for you briefly. So if we get to the end of year 2, when that 12 months is looked at in that first year, so this 12 months, no more than 180 days absence in that 12 months is permissible, and that's simply for the purposes of your application for indefinite leave to remain. So then we've got the second full year, and then we come to year 3. Now, at the end of year 3, you would be entitled to apply for indefinite leave to remain, and that's the document there that you would get confirming settlement, and it says in the comments indefinite leave to remain. And then you'd wait for a year before applying to naturalise as a British citizen. So your naturalisation and then subsequently your British passport would be granted after that year. And the reason for that is you need 1 clear year before applying to naturalise as British citizen. And that's, again, one of the advantages of the Innovator visa is you can go straight ahead to do that. Whereas if you're on, say, a Tier 2 general visa, you would have to complete the 5 years, get indefinite leave to remain, and then you would only apply to naturalise at year 6. So you effectively save a year by going down this visa pathway. Incidentally, if you want any help with looking at your visa options, I'd be very happy to assist you. I have a free consultation service. You can either drop me an email or you can contact me on WhatsApp, and I'll respond within the day. So let's go to the next part of my presentation. So the next part is just about this, that what do you need to do in those 3 years? So you've got to carefully manage this. So the first thing is, to qualify for indefinite leave to remain, you can invest 50,000 into your business. And this has got to be actively spent furthering the business plan assessed in the applicant's previous endorsement. Now this is very important, because the money has to be spent furthering the business plan assessed in the applicant's previous endorsement. So the business plan that is assessed and endorsed, if you like, it's got to be the one into which the 50k is invested. So in other words, the plan for the investment of the 50,000 needs to be dealt with at the beginning. You should not simply put forward a business plan, whether it's even if it's endorsed. The business plan could create a problem for you later if it doesn't contain the investment plan or reflect the way in which the 50k would be invested. The two are going to be connected. They will look at whether the 50,000 has actually been invested into the business plan that was assessed in the beginning. So that's very important. Now, I don't suggest there can't be any changes to the business plan. It's appropriate in most commercial circumstances for most companies to adapt their business plan over a 3-year period. It'd be odd if they didn't. But there's got to be some consistency here and continuity. So that's the first point. Next point is this. One of the other criteria you can fulfill is that you've engaged in significant R&D activity and you've applied for intellectual property protection in the UK. Now the question is, what is intellectual property protection? You can protect a trademark, but read in context, this is intellectual property protection in respect of your research and development activity. So ordinarily this would be a patent application. That's not to say that you need to have that ready at the beginning of the 3 years, but you do need to have some plan in place if this is your target criterion for indefinite leave to remain. Let's have a look at the next option. So here I'm just going to deal with your other different options for qualifying, and these are all under the heading of settlement success criteria. So this says endorsing bodies must confirm in their endorsement letter that the applicant has achieved 2 of the following. So this is the endorsement by the time you get to indefinite leave to remain. So 2 of the following. So the first 3 are these. So 50,000 is invested, I've dealt with that. The other one is the number of the business customers has at least doubled within the most recent 3 years and is currently higher than the mean number of customers for other UK businesses offering comparable main products and services. Now, one of the interesting things about this is that it's accepted under the rules that you could have a business that's similar to other businesses offering comparable main products or services. Now, if they're comparable, bear in mind my point about a business being new, business idea being new, and it being unprecedented. It can't be unprecedented because if it was, there wouldn't be any other comparable products and services. So that I think that just reinforces that point. But this, as I've said before, is not necessarily one of the criterion that I would ordinarily recommend people go for, or that people would be happy to go for, because it's challenging to assess the mean number of customers of other UK businesses offering comparable main products and services. And you'd need effectively an expert report on that. So I would not suggest going for that. And then the third one is the business is engaged in significant research and development activity and is applied for intellectual property protection in the UK. So as I say, that's the one that clients would normally go for, normally aim to achieve. So let's have a look at the other criterion. So here they are. The business has generated a minimum annual revenue of 1 million in the last full year covered by its accounts. So a couple of my clients are aiming to achieve this as the basis for their settlement criteria, because they do have a revenue up to that level already, and they'd be looking to exceed that. So that's perfectly achievable, but that would not be achievable for everyone, of course. The next one, the business is generating a minimum annual revenue of 500,000 in the last full year covered by its accounts, with at least 100,000 from exporting overseas. Now this is one that some of my clients are going for, and again it just depends on the nature of the business, but that will be achievable for many scalable businesses. Again, if you're investing into a British company with my guidance of the partners that I work with, then most of them have a highly viable plan for achieving that and more. The next is the business has created an equivalent of at least 10 full-time jobs for resident workers. So 10 is going to be quite a stretch for some people within the first 3 years, especially on if it's a completely new company. The business has generated the equivalent of at least full-time jobs for resident workers with an average salary of 25k a year. So 5 full-time jobs at 25, so it's going to be £125,000 you would need to budget for to achieve that criterion, and that's achievable for many people as well. So if the intellectual property route, research and development, isn't viable for you or for the co-founder that you're partnering with under this visa route, then you might look for the employment option. This is a lot higher than the old tier 1 entrepreneur criterion of 2 full-time jobs. You're looking at 5. But again, it's £125,000, and if you have a small team, that's going to be achievable for many. So that's the settlement criterion. Let's just go on to the next part of my presentation. So the next part is just about the innovator teams, and I wanted to come back to that. So how are you affected if under the settlement criterion if you're with a co-founder? Now, if you're with a British co-founder, if you're working with me and you're connected with someone on my network, a British co-founder, then that's no problem, because they're not looking to achieve anything under the visa route. But if you have another international non-EEA, European Economic Area co-founder who is applying under this route as well, then effectively you have to share out the settlement success criteria or double them. So that's not necessarily a problem, but let's look at how it can be done and some examples. So the provisions provide applicants do not need to be the sole founders of their businesses. Whilst multiple innovators in the same company can receive endorsements, each applicant must have been endorsed for achievements in their own right. Where there are multiple innovators endorsed via the same company, the settlement criteria relied on must have been multiplied by the number of innovators associated with the business. This can be achieved by either applicants using different success criteria, so that's the idea of effectively sharing out the successes of the business, and here's the example. So the applicants, so two of them, remember they've got to meet 2 each, so you've got to hit 4 in total if there's 2 of you. So in this example, the applicants can demonstrate that they have created 10 jobs for resident workers. So that's 1. Secondly, at least 50,000 has been invested into the business. That's 2. Number 3, the business has generated a minimum annual gross salary of 1 million. Number 4, the business has engaged in significant research and development and applied for IP protection. So the two that would ordinarily be appropriate, or the easiest pathways would be investing 100,000, so 50,000 each. If you have one international co-founder, you invest 100,000, so that's 50,000 each. You've hit 2 criteria in there. Then you do R&D and apply for intellectual property, whether that's on the trademark route or patent route. As I say, in most cases that would be a patent pathway. It could potentially be a copyright pathway, although the copyright is ordinarily automatic. Speak to me if you're thinking about that criterion and targeting that. And then the last one being that you've created 5 full-time jobs at 25k each. So those are the 4 where if you have an international co-founder, you'd be looking to achieve that. Now, if you're coming into a co-founding a company or investing into a non-trading company in the UK, then you'll be looking at that business saying, okay, how can they help me, or how can I help them to develop the business, and in the process also meet the residence criteria as well as making a success of the business. And the way that one would do that is looking at any IP that they're developing, and that's important. And then looking at how many jobs are likely to be created over the period, and then look at anticipated revenue. And on the basis of that assessment, you can make an informed decision as to whether to invest and co-found the business with them. So just going back to the criterion, there are other examples here, but I think I've made the point, and you have the provisions here. So let's go on. I think we've finished up the presentation almost. It's just an additional point at the end here to complete those provisions. So look, here's my diagram, the overall diagram, and I'm going to be producing similar videos to this, animated demonstrations of the criteria. Now, because we're live, I'm going to check to see if anyone has any questions. So just bear with me a sec. Let's have a look at what questions have been asked. Okay, so Sabaro asks, what do I need to achieve by the end of the 3 years for permanent residency? So thanks very much for that question. So to answer that directly, let me just come back to the live stream. So what you need to achieve is you need to hit 2 of the 7 criterion for indefinite leave to remain, and those, as I say, are the settlement, called the settlement success criterion. There's some straightforward ones and some harder ones, potentially harder ones. The most straightforward ones are simply investing the 50,000 that you need to have under this visa route anyway. So if you invest that, you've hit 1. And number 2 is you, in terms of perhaps rank of ease, is you apply for some intellectual property protection of your assets in the UK during the 3 years. Now, a potential backup third option, again in rank of ease, is the creation of jobs. So under this visa route, you need to create 5. You would, if you were choosing this criterion, you would need to rely on the fact that you'd created 5 jobs at 25,000 each, which would be £125,000 investment over that 5-year period. Now that could include your 50,000, so you just need another 75,000 to actually fund those jobs when you're looking at your financial planning. So I hope that helps. As for the other 7 criterion, they're actually all within this video and within the diagram that I've done on this live stream. So let's see if there's any other questions. Just to highlight, of course, if you want to touch base with me, you can do so on WhatsApp or email. My details are below. Let me just go back to YouTube and see if there are any other questions. So the other question is from Mora, and that's saying that she's due to apply for indefinite leave to remain. Sorry, he's saying that he's due to apply for indefinite leave to remain, but his wife is a European Union citizen who may be eligible for pre-settled status. Yeah, so thanks for asking this question. That's an important one. What I would say to that is, if you have a European Union citizen spouse, then that changes things completely. So you would not need to apply under this route at the moment, pre-Brexit. First of all, they would have an unfettered right to start a business in the UK, and you would be able to apply as their non-EEA family member, but relying on their EU rights, and you would be able to come to the UK in that capacity. So that's a different application. I'd be very happy to assist you with that application if you needed help. And that would mean you would not need to go down the innovator visa route for now. Of course, it looks like we're approaching a no-deal Brexit. So I actually advised a client recently who was going to apply under the innovator, forgive me, not the innovator visa criteria, the tier 1 investor route, that he did not need to invest 5 million under that route, which he would otherwise have done, because he would be entitled to rely on European Union rights to come to the UK. So that I was able to help him avoid having to make a significant investment because another visa route was available. And as a prerequisite to my assessment, if I'm working with you, I always check whether there's any other rights you can rely on or any more straightforward visa routes that might help facilitate your objectives better. Let's just have a quick look at any other questions that have been asked. Okay, and then there's a question about the startup visa and applying with a dependent. If you want to, and about the costs for that, if you want to touch base with me, I can just drop me a message on WhatsApp. I can send you through my pricing for assisting with the process. Be very happy to help you. And then Sabaro follows up saying, so the settlement criteria is 2 out of 7 options. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'm asked by Mendy how much I charge for consultation. I don't charge anything. I have a free consultation service. So basically, I don't charge anything unless I get people the results that they want. So unless I get the outcome that you're looking for, I don't charge for it. I do ask for some to be paid on account though before I start working with people. Sabaro also highlights, are there any chances that a UK VC, says for venture capital, that would invest 50k into for an innovator visa? So no, I mean there certainly is a prospect of VC funding. So one of the, just go back. So one of the things that I will do with all of my business immigration clients is give them access to a specialist in fundraising and in applying for government grants for businesses, and that particularly applies to the innovator and startup visa routes because the threshold is quite high. And so I will connect you with my network, and in particular the consultant that I work with who helps startups and innovators raise funds. So yeah, that's definitely viable, and there's very significant funding available if you do meet the criterion under these visa routes. So you can potentially fundraise in the UK. However, you need to show that you're financially viable from the outset, and so you need to have 50,000 for the innovative visa route. Now there's a way that you can avoid that. In other words, the startup visa doesn't have any minimum criterion, but it still has a financial viability assessment with it. So the financial so of course one of the criterion is viability. That includes financial viability. So if you don't have 50,000, the question is, how are you going to, where's the money going to come from to set up your business in the UK? So really, I think 50k is a helpful sort of threshold for whether you can actually achieve what you want to achieve in the UK, especially if your business is not going to be in revenue immediately. The question is, where's the money going to come from? So it's going to be very difficult for you to secure an endorsement if you do not have 50,000, even under the startup visa route. There are exceptions to that, so you always feel free to touch base with me, but you would generally need to have 50,000 available. Now, if you do have the funds and you pass the assessment and you're endorsed, then that unlocks lots of possibilities in the UK, government funding potentially, as well as VC and angel funding. So you need to demonstrate financial viability first. If you get through, then I would do everything I can to give you as many opportunities as possible for fundraising. So let's just have a quick look. Let's have a quick look to see if there are any other questions. Great. Lots of positive feedback. Thank you very much, guys, for your kind comments. I'm always happy to assist, and I hope this was helpful. I will see you in the next live stream. I'm going to be producing as much helpful material as I can on the UK visa routes over the coming weeks, and also on other international options. So feel free to contact me if you want a free consultation, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.